This week's Parsha actually begins right where last week's Parsha left off. If one would look at a Torah scroll, usually you have some kind of like line or paragraph indicating when the next Parsha should be read. In this week's Parsha, though, it's literally like right smack in the middle of where last week's Parsha left off. Why is that? So Rashi actually points out, why is this? It's called a Parsha Sasum. It's a closed Parsha. It's not an open Parsha with a paragraph. Why is that? And he famously says the reason that it's closed off is because Shebikesh Legalos Esakes Levanav, that Yaakov, Jacob, wanted to reveal the end of days to his children. He wanted to let them know when they would be coming out of Egypt. V'nista mimenu, but God concealed it from him. God didn't want him to reveal that information to his children. Why is that? So interestingly, a lot of Meforshim, a lot of commentaries comment on this week's Parsha, really arriving at the same kind of theme. And what they say, this would include the Klei Yakar and others, what they say is that if they knew when the end would be, if they knew when they would be leaving, then they would no longer be motivated to long, to yearn, to pray for the day when they would leave. If that day would be in 200 years from now, and I'm sitting here 200 years from them, I'm not going to be so motivated to yearn to go out and to long and to pray to leave sooner, because I know when it's going to be already, and it's going to be in a long time. Interestingly as well, I think we see this theme that Yaakov makes his son, Yosef, he makes him swear that he will make sure that he gets buried in, not in Egypt. He causes him to swear that he's going to be buried in Canaan, not in Egypt. What was he so concerned about? Why was he so opposed to be buried in Egypt? And I've heard explained before that he was concerned that if he would be buried in Egypt, they would, mummify him. They would really, revere him there, and it'd also be a place where the Jewish people would identify with, as their holy grandfather Yaakov would be buried there. That would be a place where they go on a pilgrimage to, where they visit frequently, where they identify as a home. It was very important to Yaakov that Egypt not feel like home. Egypt was not home. This is a place where they had to be kind of in the interim, but don't get confused that this was the place where a Jew belonged. And along these lines as well, in this week's Parsha, toward the end, we see that Yaakov blesses Yosef's sons, Ephraim and Menashe. And he says that through you, the Jewish people will be blessed. We know every Friday night, we bless our boys, we bless that our precious children should be like Ephraim and Menashe. Why Ephraim and Menashe? Why not Avram and Yitzhak, Yaakov and Yosef, Moshe and Aaron, David and Shlomo? Of all people, why Ephraim and Menashe? We don't really know anything about them. So Rabbi Rav Shamshon, Raphael Hirsch, and others explain that Ephraim and Menashe were really the first Jewish boys who were raised in the diaspora. And they held on. They held on tight. They didn't give in. They didn't give in to the culture of the society. They held on to their identity as Jews. This is the blessing we imbue upon our children in the diaspora throughout the millennia. You should be like Ephraim and Menashe. You should hang on as well. Embrace who you are. Be proud of who you are. So we see through this Parsha many different instances of the allure of the diaspora, of being too comfortable in the diaspora, of not longing to come home to Israel. And we see some of the threats of the diaspora. We get too comfortable, and we could become too in tune with the society around us and foreign and far away from our own culture, our own identity as Jews. That's something we have to be careful of. We have to take pride in who we are, even in the diaspora, embrace who we are, and learn from this incredible lesson that Yaakov, at the end of his life, was teaching his children for millennia to come. Have a beautiful Shabbos.